Ian from RTO here. Hope you're all well on this Wednesday. Wednesday always means it's marathon day where we take big discographies on, but today's a little bit different. This one is a soundtracks one, and it's been asked by Mick, who's one of my loyal subscribers for quite a while now. This comes off the back of the John Barry retro ranking I did way back, and he says, I'd love you to rank the James Bond soundtracks. So I went, yep, no problem. 25 albums, watching films so you can get a rough idea where some of the music appears in the film, but some of it, even though I've listened to it and watched it, I couldn't find it. So there's not much I'm going to say about the James Bond movies. First one came out in 1962. I've done 25. We've had on movie, we've had, of course, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, George Lazenby, Pierce Brosnan, and the last one was Daniel Craig as well, of course, but we don't know who the new one's going to be. Who knows? A lot of controversial things going on about it, but we'll talk about that when we get there. The person that's really, the composer that's really known for this is, of course, the legendary John Barry. David Arnold has done stuff as well, and now it's Hans Zimmer who's now doing it. But everyone always looks up to John Barry as the godfather of the Bond soundtrack. So there's 25, so we're going to look at 25 to 13 this week, and then we're going to do 12 to 1 next week with an added bonus of another Bond composer that puts an album together. So let's start with number 25, and this is the 16th album and the 16th film. It was released in 1989. It was Timothy Dalton's final appearance as James Bond, and the film is Licence to Kill. Now, John Barry was not able to do the score for this because he was undergoing throat surgery in 1988, so he was unable to do it. So they brought in another soundtrack and composer and conductor, Michael Kamen. So the first one on this one is the actual main title, and that's Gladys Knight and the Gladys Knight Licence to Kill. Very dramatic start. I don't mind this one. It's okay. Now the trouble with this album, it's all over the place. It doesn't run in them with the film. But the first bit is Wedding Party. It's got that set in the Bahamas, the first bit. It's got about that feel to it. It's Felix Leiter. He's mate at the CIA, and he was getting married to Della. And it's got that wedding feel. Then we have a track called Dirty Love. Now, as much as I've watched this, it's quite a rocky track, but I can't remember where it is in the film, even though I sat and watched it. Then we have my favourite piece here, and it's just called Pam. Now, this is Pam Bouvier, played by, I think, was it Carrie Lewis, the Bond girl. It's this Bond theme done on a Spanish guitar, and it's pretty cool. I like it. Then we get the song that's sort of with the end top credits, and this is a song that Patti LaBelle done called If You Asked Me To. I don't like this. It's a little bit wishy-washy, certainly not Bondy, and not my favourite. Then we get James and Felix on the way to the church. This is the bit where they go and try and catch the Bond baddie Sanchez, played by Robert Davey. It's alright. Then he's got his funny Valentine. This is the bit where I think it's the bit where Bond discovers Della dead, and Felix being bitten by sharks. It's okay. Then there's a thing called Ninja. Again, I'm not quite sure where this bit comes in the film. Who knows? And then the last track is Licensed Revoked. Now this was supposed to be the original title, but they changed it. This is the bit in the film where Bond's gone back, was at the hotel. What happened to Felix? He went to Felix's place. Then he was summoned to go and see M, who was on the balcony, and he told him this is not a gentleman's club, etc. And he has his license to kill revoked, and that's where he jumps into the bushes and hides, and M knows exactly what he's going to do. Okay, this is it is definitely not my favourite soundtrack because it's not that memorable. There's one or two bits that are, but the film itself I think is a pretty good movie. It's a good plot. I like the film, but the soundtrack is just not very memorable. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 4.5. So coming in at number 24, this is from 1981. It's the 12th Bond film, and it is For Your Eyes Only. And this is when Roger Moore was playing a 007. Now, this soundtrack was composed by Bill Conti, and because John Barry couldn't work in the UK for tax reasons, so that's why Bill Conti came in. Blondie was actually approached to perform the theme song, and the reason it got rejected because Conti wanted the Conti song, and the band refused. They wanted to write their own, so that's why it didn't. But Blondie did eventually release their song in 1982 on The Hunter. The track was called Make It Last All Night. So there you go. So the opening track on this is that main title, For Your Eyes Only by Sheena Easton. Not a particular favourite of mine. Then we get a drive in the country. Now this has got a Spanish feel to it, but it sounds very 80s production. The track doesn't do nothing for me. I don't really like it, but the scene that it's being played in is really fun. It's where Bond and Melina are trying to escape the baddies, but they're doing it in a 2CV. So it's quite a fun piece, that is. Then we get a thing called Take Me Home. It's got a nice flugelhorn solo, but it's not very memorable apart from that, and I can't even remember which bit of the film it's in, so that's how much of an impact it had me. Then we get Melina's Revenge. This is very dramatic. Bill Conti took that. One thing about the soundtracks of Bond, you've got that dramatic sound. This is very dramatic. This is where Melina's parents, the Havelocks, are brutally murdered. Then we get Gonzalez Takes a Dive. Now this is the bit where Gonzalez was the guy that killed Melina's parents. Bond's on the trail, but Melina beats him to it, and as he dives in the pool, she kills him with using a crossbow. Very dramatic piece. It's pretty good. Then we get St. Cyril's Monastery. I like this. It's got a very Greek feel to it. And this is the bit where he goes and meets Q as well, and he goes, "Father, I have sinned," and Q says, "You certainly have a 007. I like that bit of the film. Make It Last All Night. That's a horrible 80s sort of thing, and I can't remember where it is in the film. Even you see, that's how memorable it is on me. Then we get Runaway, one of the car chases. Lots of car chases in this. It's a very cheesy piece of music. Then we get Submarine. Now this is the bit where Melina and James Bond are looking for the ATAC, whatever it's called, in the Neptune submarine. It's that very nautical feel to it. Like all Bond films, the nautical music is always good. Then we get the For Your Eyes Only instrumental. I actually prefer this version to the Sheena Easton version. It's quite nice. Then we get Cortina. Now this is where Bond arrives in Cortina in the snow. It's very sort of Italian. The music does set the scene very well as he's arriving in the Lotus. Then we get the PM Gets the Bird and the For Your Eyes Only reprise. I don't like the ending of this when they got Janet Brown to do Margaret Thatcher. Nah, cheesy, didn't like it. And then for some reason we get the gun barrel, Flowers for Teresa, and the Sinking of the St George's. I don't like the gun barrel music they use. It's very 80s. The bit with the flowers, he's still going back to when he was married to Teresa. Very dramatic music. Then we get the flight where he puts Blofeld down the chimney, and then the Sinking of the St George's with the mine. Very dramatic music, and yeah, it's a nice. It comes in the wrong place on the album, but it's quite good. Then Unfinished Business and Bond meets Christatos. It's all right. Just a bit of music when they sit down and have lunch and watch it. And then we get Ski, Shoot, Jump. I like the scene, but the sound, I really struggle with a bit of the soundtrack. Then we get Goodbye Countess. Again, not very memorable. It's the bit where he meets the Countess on the beach and all that sort of thing. Then we get the recovering of the ATAC. Certainly got that underwater feeling. It's a quite dramatic scene where we get the fight. That's quite good. And then we got the sub versus sub. Very, very dramatic, where the two subs sort of meet. It's a dramatic scene, but the music sort of lets it down. Then Run Them Down, Climb. Not very memorable. Non-eventful. Definitely, again, one of the weaker Bond movie soundtracks. It's not particularly a favourite Bond movie of mine either. There's some bad acting in here, especially from Lynn Holly Johnson. She's so plastic. But the soundtrack's better than the movie. So I'm going to give that a RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Coming in at number 23 in 2012, the 23rd, and that is Skyfall. The music for this was composed by Thomas Newman, and his first, and made him the 9th composer to do a Bond score. So the first bit on this is called Grand Bazaar Istanbul. I remember this a bit really well because it's a great scene, but there's no barrel at the beginning before the pre-title thing, which is a shame. But the music's good. It's a great chase in this. Good bit of music. Thomas has really got that John Barry feel to it, and I quite like that. Then we get Voluntary Retirement. It's a really nice piece of music, set on some beach in the Caribbean, and then he plays the deadly game with a scorpion. He sees what's happened in London, so he goes back to London. It's quite a good little bit of music. Then we get New Digs, a very dramatic piece of music this is. It's where the scene where he goes Bond themes in there. It's dramatic. It's got that Bond feel to it. I do like that. Then we get Severine, one of those very short little pieces of music. It's hard to remember where it is in the film, but it's quite dramatic. Brave New World, very dramatic again. I can't remember where this bit is either, but it does incorporate the James Bond film, and I do like that when you get a bit of music and they put the Bond theme in it. Then we get Shanghai Drive. It's when he's in Shanghai. So this is the bit that I think is a bit long and winded. It's a good bit of music though. Jellyfish. All these sound the same. There's no sort of flow with it. And then we get Silhouette. It's just under a minute. I don't remember it is, but I like the drums in this one. Then we get Mag Delaney. Now this is another little short piece. Nice piano. Don't know where it is in the film. Day Wasted. This is where Bond, when he goes back, he gets, because he has been shot up. And it's just a bit where I think Moneypenny shoots him, and he's having a word association with the psychiatrist, and it's quite a funny little scene, and the music's quite quirky as well. Quartermaster. This is where he meets the new Q, played by Ben Whishaw, who does a great job as Q. I like his portrayal of Q. It's a nice little piece. Someone Usually Dies, another of these short pieces. And then you got Komodo Dragon. The order of this soundtrack bounces all over the place. I don't remember where this is. I think this is part of the Shanghai bit. The Bloody Shot is next. This is the bit where towards the end of the pre-title credits, where this is where Moneypenny shoots James Bond, and it's a dramatic piece of music. Then you get Enjoying Death. This is where Bond breaks into M's apartment, played by the wonderful Judi Dench, of course. She was great as M. Then we get the Crimea, really nice short piece of music, but I can't remember when it is. Then we get Close Shave. Now this is a short piece. This is Thomas Newman. He really gets into the spirit of the Bond theme here. This is where Moneypenny gives Bond a shave. Yes. Health and Safety, very short. Don't remember much about where that is in the film. Then we get Gameborough Road. This is Thomas Newman really embracing the John Barry dramatic music. This is where the bit of the fun where Bond and Q realise that Silverine has escaped and is after M. It's a great dramatic piece of music. And then we got the Kill 'Em First. This is the finale of the film. It's pretty cool. It's going back to Bond's ancestry home. Great role from Albert Finney as the gamekeeper. Then we get Welcome to Scotland. It's very eerie. And then She's Mine. Tense part of the film where M gets shot. Very dramatic. Then they go back to a thing in the Moors. It's just, again, it's dramatic. Then we got Deep Water. It's all the fight scene at the end. All these pieces of music in that final part of this film are fantastic. Then we get Mother. It's the death of M. It's really good. Then we get Adrenaline, which it's an interesting piece of music, but I haven't got a clue where it comes in the film. Okay, first one up for Thomas Newman, and I think he did a good job. The music is good. Some of these modern Bond films are not very memorable. The film, it's a very good film. The plot's good, but some of the dialect is too long and you sort of get lost in it. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 22. This is from 1995, and it's Pierce Brosnan's first appearance as James Bond in Goldeneye, composed by Eric Serra, who had done The Fifth Element. So this opens up with the brilliant, one of my favourite Bond themes, Goldeneye, from Tina Turner, classic. Then we get the Goldeneye Overture, which is made up of 2 or 3 tracks. It's called Half of Everything Is Luck, the other half is Fate. For England, James. This is all at the beginning of the pre-sequels. I don't know. I don't like what they've done to Eric Serra done to the Bond theme. The stunts are brilliant in the scene, but the music just doesn't fit. Ladies First. Now this is the piece of music where you've got, I can't remember her name now, where he's having the assessment that the red Ferrari, and goes Ladies First. Then we get We Share the Same Passions and A Trip to Cuba. This is proper orchestral stuff, really suits this scene. And he's sitting on the beach with Natalia. Very good piece of music, captures the moment. It's a very poignant moment because we see the softer side from Bond. Then we get a thing called A Little Surprise for You, Xena and DM Mushkin. Don't mind this bit, it's got that Russian feel to it. It's where he first meets and in the helicopter. And I like the drums in it, it just sounds pretty cool, that Russian thing. Then we get the Severnaya Suite, Among the Dead, Out of Hell and the Husky Tribe. Very dramatic piece of music. Eric did a great job for this piece. It's where they the destroy of Severnaya. Very dramatic. It's not gone for the 80s sound, he's gone for that orchestral, and it just sounds good. Then we get Our Lady of Smolensk. My Russian's not very good. This is the eerie Pete. Very eerie. Then we get Whispering Statues. This is the bit that where James meets Alex, who thinks he's dead, 006, and it's the first time they've met since he thought he was dead. Very eerie piece of music, and I think it works well. Then we get Run, Shoot and Jump. This is an action bit. It's still got that horrible sounding drums, but this is where they're trying to escape the government building in St. Petersburg. Then we get a pleasant drive in St. Petersburg. I love this scene, and the music's pretty good to this. It's quite funny piece. I love it where he knocks down the thing and he's all muscled and his tie stops, goes over, straightens his tie, and off he goes up. Then we get Fatal Weakness. It's okay. I can't remember where that is. That's What Keeps You Alone. This is another bit of that dramatic where we see the softer side of Bond, and Eric captures that. Dish Out of Water, a good squeeze in the antenna. This is more suited to it reminds me of some of the stuff he did in The Fifth Element, because he did the soundtrack for that. Very dramatic, the bit where the antenna comes out of the water, and it just does fit with the Bond films. Forever James, no, The Scale to Hell, sorry, I missed one out. Boris and the Lethal Pen. Now Boris, played by an actor that I don't want to talk about him, but he used to do the thing with a pen, didn't he? And this is the bit at the end where he goes, "I'm invincible," and the thing thinks, and he freezes and falls apart. Forever James, at the bit at the end, with the US Marines come up. Then we get The Experience of Love. I don't like it. Didn't like what he did to that. This is a mixed bag soundtrack. I think some of the orchestral stuff that Eric did is brilliant. but the other elements, it's more for a sci-fi film. This is not a sci-fi film. So I'm going to give that an RTO a ranking of 6.2. Okay, coming in at number 21, we have got Spectre. 24th film, came out in 2015. Again, Thomas Newman did the music, making him the third composer after John Barry and David Arnold to do more than one film. So the first track is called Los Muros Visas Están. It's got that Mexican feel to it. This is where it's the Day of the Dead thing, pretty good. Then we get Vauxhall Bridge. This is a dramatic piece of thing. This is where the MI6 building gets blown up. Very dramatic. The Eternal City. This is this sort of theme bit comes in and out of all the film, and it's very hard to put it because it's not very memorable. Then we got Donna Lucia, a nice little piece of music, but I can't remember where it is. Then we get A Place Without Mercy. It's so short, it's 1 minute, and I can't remember. Then we get Backfire. It's a little of the chase music. Thomas Newman's pretty good at the time. The chases. It's still in the same sort of John Barry sort of sound. Pretty good, like that one. Then we get Crow's Clinic. Again, it's so short. I'm probably concentrating on the film and I can't even remember where it comes from. The Pale King, very boring. I just don't. It's just noise to me. Then we get Madeline. It's the typical sort of Bond girl when he meets a Bond girl. Pretty cool. Kite in a Hurricane. Again, I can't remember this. It's 2 minutes long. Then we get Snowplane. Now I remember this because it's quite a dramatic piece of music. This is where Madeline is kidnapped and James sets off in pursuit of her in a plane. L'American, another short piece of music that I'm not quite sure where it is in the film either, but it's quite dramatic. Secret Room, not very memorable. It's dull. Then we get Hinks. It's a very short, dramatic piece. Not quite sure where. Then we get the Writings on the Wall instrumental, which is far better than Sam Smith's version. Don't like Sam Smith. Don't like that. Silver Wraith. Again, not very memorable. Just I can't remember where it comes in the film. Then we get a Reunion. There's some strings. Some nice drums. I think it's where the bit where Bond. I just can't remember where it is, to be quite honest. Day of the Dead, again, should have been at the beginning of the album, but there you go. Tempus Fugit, nothing to do with Yes. Again, it's just very dull, that one. Safe House. I think this is the bit where they will meet up in the safe house. It's not very dramatic, it's just a thing. Blindfolded, very short piece. Again, these are so short that it's very hard to find them. And then we get Caress. Again, it's just I just don't remember where this is. It's just very dull music. Detonation, this is the bit where the MI6 building is being blown up. I remember this because it's the end of the film. Pretty good. Westminster Bridge, this is the bit where the helicopter crashes onto Westminster Bridge. Out of Bullets, not very memorable. I think it's the bit where he says goodbye to Q, if I remember. And then the Spectre end final, very dull, to be quite honest. Again, as I said earlier, I think some of these more modern ones are very dull. There's so many tracks, it's just 20 seconds here, a minute here. It's hard to follow. Again, it's a mixed bag, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 6.5. Okay, coming in at number 20, we go way back to the one that started it from 1962, and it is Dr. No, composed by Monty Norman, and he brought in John Barry to help him. This one, of course, opens up with the James Bond theme. This is unmistakable, best piece of recognised music in the world. I love it. Then we get the Kingston Calypso, and there's a little version of Three Blind Mice that carries on from the Bond theme. And then you get the dramatic bit where they go to the Queen's Club to murder John Strangeways. Jamaican rock. Now, this was not in the heard in the film, but it was a bit of Caribbean music. Jump Up. It's by Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. It's actually on the radio in one of the scenes, in one of the bars. Audio bongo, not used in the thing, it's just a variation on the Dr. No music. Then we get the Underneath the Mango Tree, where we first meet Honey Rider, coming out, and then it's in the radio. Then we got Twistin' with James, a version of the Dr. No's Fantasy, not used in the film. And then another bit that's not used in the film, Jamaica Jazz. It's an instrumental version of Jump Up. It's okay. Then we get Underneath the Mango Tree, a instrumental of that. Then we get Jump Up. Again, it's in the played on the radio. It's where the girl comes round and takes pictures of Bond and Poirot and Felix. And then the island, we got Kingston Calypso, which is pretty cool. The Island Speaks, an instrumental of Dr. Me. It's where Bond and Poirot land on Crab Key and go to the bongos. Yeah, Underneath the Mango Tree, again, this is another version of it. There's so many versions of this. The Boys Chase, which was unused in the film. Dr. No's theme, which is basically Kingston Calypso instrumental. James Bond themed in with some Caribbean drums, that's pretty good. And the last track is Love at Last, which is briefly heard at the Queen's Club on the radio. It's an okay soundtrack. Obviously it's got highlights like Under the Mango Tree and the Bond theme, of course, but it's a great start to the franchise, so I shall give this one an RTO ranking of a 6.8. Okay, coming in at 19, this is 1983's Octopussy. It's John Barry and Roger Moore is Bond, of course. First one on this is the title track, All Time High, Rita Coolidge. It's one of the weaker songs. Rita Coolidge is a good singer, but I don't think this song was good. Bond Look-alike. This is John Barry at his best, and this is the pre-title things where he is dressed as a South American general. And there's the joke about two balls on that, another ball. Yeah, it's pretty good. Welcome to Delhi. I love this bit. It's got that Indian thing, and then all of a sudden you get the Snake Charmer doing the Bond theme. Very, very good. Then we go back to 009 gets the knife and Gobina attacks. I like this little bit of music as well. It's very dramatic. It's where 009 is trying to escape, and it's John Barry at his best. Then we get That's My Little Octopussy. This is like the instrumental version of All Time High. It's really good. Arrival at the Island of Octopussy, another John Barry masterpiece. He captures the mood of the Bond. He is number one when it comes to Bond themes, I think. Lovely piece of music. Bond at the Monsoon Palace, classic John Barry. Very dramatic piece as his arrival at the palace. Bond meets Octopussy. This is quite eerie. I mean, Maud Adams, this is her second appearance as a Bond girl in a movie. It's eerie, gentle, and John Barry captures these moments very, very well. Then we get Yo-Yo Flight and the death of VJ. Very dramatic fight scene, and then the sad death of VJ. And always when there's a death when John Barry was doing it, he really captured it. Then we have the chase bomb theme. This is where James Bond is in the car trying to find the bomb in Germany, and as usual John Barry comes up with the most dramatic piece of music to go with it. Absolutely brilliant. And then we get the palace fight, which is the end of the film. As usual, John Barry comes up with a really good piece of music for the fight scene. As ever, brilliant sort of thing. We get a little bit of the Bond theme thrown in there, which we always do. All-time high movie version. No. It was nice to have John Barry back on board for a soundtrack. It was some classic John Barry, but there are little bits in here that I weren't keen on. The plot's okay. It uses a little bit of short stories. The property of a lady was a short story, but on the whole, it's a pretty good Barry soundtrack. So I shall give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 18, we go to 2008's Quantum of Solace. David Arnold's fifth soundtrack, and it was Daniel Craig's second outing. Time to Get Out, which contains a little bit of the original Bond theme. Great little bit of music. Great car chase at the beginning of this film, and I love it how they use the original sound in James Bond. Great little track. Then we got The Playo, another constructed piece from David Arnold, in the vein of John Barry. I can remember this scene. This is the chase inside where they found that the inside man is a traitor, and Mr. White escapes. Then we got Bond in Haiti. It contains the Bond theme again. It's short, sweet, but it's a typical sort of James Bond arriving in a new country. David Arnold keeps the spirit of John Barry in that. Somebody Wants to Kill You. Certainly got that Caribbean sort of feel to it. Lots of guitar work. I can't remember what it was in the film, but I do like the piece of music. Then we get Green and Camille. Very Hispanic. Pretty good. Pursuit at Port-au-Prince. Again, a pursuit piece of music from David Arnold. Dramatic, and he incorporates that Bond theme in, which is important in a chase, I think. Then we have No Interest in Dominic Green. It's a little short bit of music, very easy, very eerie, dramatic. This is where the Americans have got no intentions with Dominic, and you've got this little scene where Felix is on the plane with him. Very sort of Secret Service type stuff. Then we get Night at the Opera. Really eerie piece of music. David Arnold on fire here. It's really sets the scene. I think the scene is fantastic where Bond infiltrates the inner circle and gets all the information back to London. It's really good. Restrict Bombs music. Very short piece of music. But this is where M doesn't like what he's doing. He cancels all these cards. He's trying to use them. It's quite remember. Talamone, it's a brief piece, 35 seconds, I can't remember. What's Keeping You Awake? Another little bit of dramatic movie music from David Arnold. The Bolivian Taxi Ride. Just a bit of sort of South American thing. Field Trip. I don't remember where this is in the film, but it's 41 seconds, but it does contain a little bit of the main Bond theme. Forgive Yourself, again, it's 2 minutes, nice piece of music. DC3, this is where they're in the aeroplane. It's got the Bond theme in there. I always like things like that. Target Terminated. It's one of the action pieces at the end. David Arnold does capture John Barry in that. Camille's Story. David Arnold. It could have been written by John Barry for all I was care. It's just a fantastic piece of music. Oil Fields. It's a variation on the Bond theme. Have You Ever Killed Someone So Dramatic? Lovely kettle drums in this. Perella de Lunas, de Dundas, something like that. It's another chase film. There's so many good chase films, scenes in this. The Dead Don't Care About Vengeance, an emotional piece. It's after Bond visits somebody that at the beginning where he's killed them. I Never Left. It's where he's in Russia. Bond and M says, "Good to have you back," and he said he never left. Then we get the main theme, Another Way to Die, by Jack White and Alicia Keys. I love this. One of the better later James Bond themes. Great riffs from Jack White. Excellent track. This is the shortest Bond film ever. It's got lots of great car chases and action. But the plot's a bit weak. But I do like David Arnold's soundtrack, so I should give that an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay then, coming at number 17. It's the 20th. The last one for Pierce Brosnan. Die Another Day. From 2002. David Arnold again, but he uses a little bit more electronic stuff. So, first track up is Die Another Day by Madonna. Don't like that. The James Bond film, done featuring Paul Oakenfold. Awful. Terrible. Then we get On the Beach. This is the opening bit after the gun barrel. Sounds really eerie. Another great piece of music from David Arnold. The wave bit's a bit far-fetched, but there you go. Hovercraft chase. I love this. It's a brilliant scene, and once again, David comes up with a great bit of music. Then we get Some Kind of Hero. This captures the North Koreans have captured it. They're going across the bridge when they do that swap. Then we get Welcome to Cuba. My favourite piece of music. Now, I love the Cuban music, and he does capture this very well, does David. Very good. Then we get Jinx Jordan. This is the bit where she comes out of the water. A bit cheesy. Then we get Jinx and James. This is sort of when Jinx and James are together. It's not one of my favourites, and I'm not a great fan of Halle Berry anyway. A Touch of Frost. This is a bit of music that sort of sums up Miranda Frost, played wonderfully by Rosamund Pike. Great actress. I thought she was a better Bond girl than Halle Berry, actually. Icarus is the next piece of music. It's got the traits of a great Bond piece of music. David Arnold really kept to the script on John Barry. This is Toby Stevens, who actually played Bond on the radio. Really good. Laser Fight, very dramatic. There's lots of dramatic stuffs here. The drum machines spoil it, but the thing it's okay. Whiteout. I hate the drum and bass on this. I don't know what's this doing in the film. Iced Inked. It's one of the little pieces in the movie, and I can't remember where it is. And Tovov. I just can't remember this piece of music being in the film. Going Down Together. It's the end of the film. Jinx and James Bond. Diamonds. Okay, so now, okay soundtrack. Fits in quite a lot of the film. It's a bit of a far-fetched movie in places, but it's quite an enjoyable film. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay then, coming in at number 16. We're right up to date now. This is the most current one, the 25th. No Time to Die in 2021. Hans Zimmer is now composing, and it was, of course, Daniel Craig's last appearance. First one on here is the gun barrel. Nice to see this appear again with a proper bit of Bond music. Then we get Matera. Very nice piece of music from Hans Zimmer. Again, he has captured the John Barry thing. This is it's got a lovely line. Will you drive faster? No, we will have all the time in the world. Message from an old friend. Hans Zimmer has created the spirit of John Barry again. Little bits of that Bond theme thrown in all through this. Great little sequence. The Square Escape. A great piece of music. This is the bit where he's caught in the square with Madeline in the car. Gets all the gadgets, spins round and shoots everyone up. Someone Was Here is the next piece of music. This is the bit where Bond is now in Jamaica, is retired, and there's little cigar butts left around, and I think he knows Felix is about. Then we get Not What I Expected. Dramatic piece of music, but I'm not sure what it is. What Have You Done? Another dramatic piece. This is where Bond and M is questioning what M's done. Really good. Well, the first meeting that they have since he's retired. Then we give Shouldn't We Get to Know Each Other? This is the bit where he meets up with the agent. I can't remember where about, in Cuba, and it's Hans Zimmer, brilliant at these two people meet, and it's very, very easy. The Cuba chase, I love this sequence from the film, and Hans Zimmer has got a lovely piece of music. It's got the little bits of the Bond theme in there. This is what was been lacking, the Bond theme flowing through little bits of chase music. Back to MI6. This is where you see James turn up in the Aston Martin from the Dalton era. Lovely, dramatic. It's very short, but it brings Bond is back. Then we've got Good to Have You Back. This incorporates one of my favourite pieces of Bond music, Her Majesty's Secret Service. It's a great little sequence. This is it's when they're talking on the banks of the river Thames. Lovely to see you again. It's where he meets sees Q again. It's quite a little quirky little bit. Very much into the main theme again. Yeah, home. This is a bit where you see where Madeline goes back to the house where she grew up, from the pre-title sequence, which is very long. But 23 minutes long. Norway chase. Hans Zimmer delivers a great piece of music for a car chase. This is my favourite chase scene in the movie. It's one of my favourite pieces of music as well. It's so dramatic, and Hans Zimmer just captures it. Gearing Up. The bit of the Bond where the new 007 and Bond are working together now, and this cop captures that dramatic where they're getting ready for the mission with the cue there, really good. Poison Garden. This is where Naomi and James discover the garden. This is quite funny because this bit of the book plot is actually from the book You Only Live Twice, which is pretty cool, and it's nice that they've incorporated a piece from that book. The Factory, more dramatic music. This is where the film does go on a bit too long, and the scene should have been shorter, but the music that Hans made for it is excellent. I'll Be Right Back. This is my favourite piece of the soundtrack. It's obviously where everyone's escaping. Madeleine and what turns out maybe her daughter and James Bond's child, and Naomi gets them out, and he just says, "I'll be right back." Opening the doors. Now this is that dramatic piece where they can open the doors at the end so he can get out. He knows the missiles are coming, but James makes that decision. Then we get the Father's Scent. The dramatic piece of music. I think this is Hans Zimmer has just captured that James Bond is going to die. I don't know what's going to happen with the franchise now, but it captures it. It's a beautiful piece of music. Then we get the title track performed by Billie Eilish. It's okay, not one of my favourite ones, but I think Billie Eilish sings it great. But I just want an upbeat Bond theme. I like the old-fashioned ones. I think Hans Zimmer's done a good job. He's got it back into that more classic sounding, the John Barry spirit. I love how he incorporated a lot of the old pieces of music, and also in the film they have bits of "We've All Got All the Time in the World." Wonderful thing. As far as the film goes, I think it is very long. They could have cut some of the scenes down just a tad. But I don't know where we go in with this, but I'll give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay, coming in at number 15, we go to Daniel Craig's first movie in 2006, Casino Royale. It's David Arnold back. First bit is African rundown, which includes a dramatic, it's a great chase in this. It's brilliant, and it incorporates the main theme. So David's written his piece and he puts in the main theme song as well. Brilliantly how he done that. Absolutely good. And then we get Nothing Sinister. This is another short piece of music. I can't remember where it is in the film, but I don't mind it. And then Unauthorized Access. Again, Bond breaking into M's pad. Very dramatic little piece. Blunt Instrument. Again, David Arnold's taken the original James Bond theme and mixed it with You Know My Name instrumental. Very, very good. CCTV is a very short piece. It's okay. Solange. It's just to carry on from the CCTV, really. Trip Aces. Again, it's a different variation of the You Know My Name and James Bond themes. Very, very good. Miami International. Jazzy sort of airport chase. Again, we got the You Know My Name instrumental intertwines with it. I'm in the Money, 27 seconds, but David Arnold still manages to get that You Know My Name in there. This is the bit thing. Aston Montenegro, the first outside the shop, the hotel. Again, he's entwined a little bit of his own bit with the main theme. Dinner Jackets. Again, it just how he just gets the Bond theme and the theme of the film in there. Very nice, good. The Tell. That's when they're all playing cards. It reminds me of sort of scenes from the spaghetti westerns when you see the eyes. Very dramatic. The stairwell fight, I love this. It's a great fight scene, and David Arnold produces that right piece of music for it. Then we got Vesper. Every time she came on the screen, you got this lovely piece of music. I like this piece of music. Bond loses it all. This is the bit where he loses $5 million. Again, very, very memorable. Then we get Dirty Martini, includes the James Bond thing. This is where the dramatic piece of music where Bond's drink is contaminated, he's drugged, and he has to go to the car for the defibrillator because it's going to kill him. Then Bond wins it all. This is when he goes back in and wins all the money back. It contains bits of the Bond film and the movie theme. Then we get the end of the Aston Martin. Great dramatic piece of music for that stunt. The bad die young. This is the torture scene, which really, I think, as in the book, it sticks out. It's Bond being tortured. It's Then we get the switch. Again, it's a mixture of the song and then incorporate the Bond theme and You Know My Name. The fall of the house in Venice. Again, it's dramatic. It's a wonderful scene, and this is again containing 3 or 4 bits of different music to make this dramatic thing. It's 2 minutes of music, but it includes the dramatic as the house is falling, the Bond theme comes in, and You Know My Name. Death as Vesper, one of the saddest pieces of music that David Arnold's done. And then we got The Bitch Is Dead. Again, it's the bit where he's on, M's talking to him, the bitch is dead, and you get a piano thing with the Bond movie. Then we get the names Bond, James Bond. It's the only time he says it in the film, but it's just the James Bond film, which is good. As a soundtrack, it's got some highlights, but what I like about this as a film, it sticks very, very close to the plot of the book, with a few bits added in. Some of the dialect goes on a little bit, but I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.7. Right, we're nearly done part 1. So coming in at number 14 is the 1999 soundtrack of the 19th film, The World Is Not Enough. And the first track is the title track, The World Is Not Enough. Garbage. I like this. Really good thing. Don Black wrote the lyrics. It's a great performance by Garbage. Bilboa Bank, show me the money. Come in 007, your time is up. Very dramatic piece of music to set the scene. Lots of little bits of things. Probably one of the best chases in a pre-title sequence with the boat through London. Absolutely brilliant piece of music. Then we get Dr. Warmflash, access denied. This is where Bond's trying to access thing and he can't get in because it's been changed by M. And this is a great bit of eerie music for it. David Arnold is probably my second favourite composer of Bond music. It's dramatic, it's really good. M's confession, like John Barry, when there's these sort of scenes, David Arnold comes up with that wonderful piece of music. It's key to the plot and it's very, very good. Welcome to Baku. David Arnold uses sort of the Azerbaijan sort of cultural music. Very well done. Like that a lot. Then we get the Ice Bandits. It's that great chase in the snow. David Arnold again comes up with a great piece of music. One of the best scenes in the film. Electra's film theme. I think this is where, when she comes in, it's again David Arnold captures the character of Electra in this piece of music. Going down the bunker, a dramatic piece. They're in the bunker. The fight scene really fits with the music. Pipeline, I don't remember this in the film. Remember Pleasure, a dramatic piece of music, but I can't remember where it comes in the film. Caviar Factory. This is where Valentin Sabensky's Caviar Factory gets blown up. Again, it's a wonderful piece of music, captures the dramatics that's going on, and then it's got that lovely thing where Valentin says, how do I explain this to the insurance company? Then we get Torture Queen. Again, it's just eerie. This is where Bond's in that medieval torture thing. Then we get I Never Miss. Very poignant piece of music that fits this scene. This is where Bond, she says, you won't kill me. And he goes. Very poignant piece of music. Then we get Submarine, which is the climax of this film, with Robert Carlyle and the fight scene in the sub. I think this is a great dramatic film piece, and the music that David Arnold came up with was absolutely wonderful. Then we get A Christmas in Turkey. This is the bit at the end. Christmas Jones played by Denise Richards. It's a double entendre thing. It's where they get the heat flint and they see the two bodies here. It's a bit cheesy. Then Only to Blame, Only Myself to Blame. It's probably the weakest thing. And it's Scott Walker. Not a very big fan of him. Okay, this soundtrack, pretty good. It's very John Barry style, which I think is great. Although the film is a little bit boring in places, there are some great action scenes in this. But as a Bond for the soundtrack, pretty good. So I shall give this an RTO's ranking of 7.8. Okay, we've reached the final one for today, and it's number 13. And it's the 18th Bond film, Tomorrow Never Dies. This is the first full soundtrack for David Arnold, and this was after he made that album Shaken and Stirred, which we'll talk about next week. So first track on here is the title track, one of my favourites, Tomorrow Never Dies by Sheryl Crow. Great vocal. Then we get White Knight. Now this is from that opening pre-title sequence. Absolutely killer piece of music. It's got the John Barry sort of ethos. It's a really good piece of music. The Sinking of the Devonshire. Again, David comes up trumps here. The dramatics of the whole scene. It seems like David watched a bit of film and then composed this wonderful dramatic piece of music to go with it. Then we get Company Car. Oh, this is great. This is where Bond meets up with Q. Brilliant. Just a nice piece of music with that Bond theme in there. Really good. Station Break. David captures the fight scene well, and this is where he gets Carver off the air. The music again fits the scene. Paris and Bond. Paris, of course, played by Terry Hatcher. Again, it's prominent sort of music. David captures sort of the on-off relationship. The last goodbye, the bit where he finds Paris dead. It's wonderful. Hamburg break-in. This is quite interesting. This is where Pierce Brosnan Bond is really good in this. He breaks into the headquarters. It's really good. Hamburg breakout is dramatic as well. Dr. Kaufman. Very eerie piece of music. Dr. Kaufman's played by the brilliant Vincent Schiavelli. Very, very good. Then we get this ... send. I don't remember where this is, but it's just a little short piece. Backstreet Driver. Okay, this is where Bond's driving his car remotely from the thing. It's really good. Dramatic, typical sort of David Arnold. And my favourite bit of this is where he delivers the car off the multi-story into the Avis office. So he did return the car for once in a reasonably good condition. Underwater Discovery, more dramatic music from David Arnold. It's where Bond finds the Devonshire, and he also bumps into Wei Lim, played by the brilliant Michelle Yeoh. Then we have a song done by K.D. Long called Surrender. Great song. Great closing credits. It's one of the best ones. Then we get the James Bond theme by Mulby. Waste of time. Hate it. Simple as. Okay, David Arnold's first soundtrack. He does a good job. He really captures the John Barry spirit. It's a good film. It's probably my favourite Pierce Brosnan movie as Bond. And I'll give that one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. So there we go. We've got up to number 12, which we'll start next week. That's all for today, because this is a long one. It is a long one, but it's really good to do this one. And I'll be back tomorrow. And we have got tomorrow Battle of the Debuts, and it's a viewer's request between The Killers and The Bravery. And tomorrow's mixing up is pick and mixing it up is producer John Leckie. So join me for that, and don't forget tomorrow night it is the live stream. So have a great day everyone, and bye for now.